Hi there, in this video we're going to look at styling our burger menu along the top here, because at the moment it's looking a little like that. Okay, we need to make it look like this. So there's some fonts to do, there's some styling with the burger menu, there's some text to add and remove and make it look pretty. Okay, so let's go do that now in Dreamweaver. Okay, first things first though, we need to tidy up a little bit. We've just kind of thrown this together, which has been great, but we need to add some kind of like core structure in. Okay, so we've got our body tag, great, and inside of it we've got a menu, and that's about it. There's some JavaScript hiding down the bottom. What I'd like to do is we need to put in a kind of framework, okay, and to start with, it's this thing called a header. Okay, so I picked header, closed it off. I'm going to open up the angle brackets and put the slash in, and you see it automatically filled it out. Great. Okay, so that's my header, and everything for your heading is going to go in there. So if I look at my mock-up, this thing here, so this chunk here is going to be considered my header. So think logo, nav, that's pretty much all that goes up in there, maybe a phone number. Okay, so that's going to be my header. So inside that is this guy. Okay, that's one of my navigation. So he goes inside header. Okay, this is just really good. It's just really common to do this. Okay, there are some perks, but it's mainly just really good HTML5 syntax. Let's go across. Great. So we've got header. Then everything else in the middle, your kind of like main content is called main. Nice. Close it off. Angle brackets, then forward slash. Okay, and that's going to be everything that is in this site. It's going to be pretty much all of the sites. It's going to be this hero box here and these 6. Now we don't have a footer in this design, purely just to speed this tutorial up, okay? But you would have a footer in here as well. Okay, and everything would go in footer. And often that is the basic structure for most of the sites. Okay, we're not going to have a footer, so we're going to leave it off. So we're going to work on this header. And in my design there's a logo first. Okay, so we need to put that in. So it's before my list, okay, or my menu. So I'm going to put it above it. I put lots of returns in. Some people do, some people don't. Okay, I'm going to put in image. Now, an image tag is quite a long one to type. So image, and then you've got to put src, and there's lots of things that go into it. So we're going to use our sneaky shortcuts from Dreamweaver. So just type in img and then hit tab. Hey, presto. Now we're going to start typing img for our images folder. Hey, presto. Nice work, Dreamweaver. Click enter. And there's nothing in there, okay, because we've got an empty folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to go click browse. And you're going to find on the desktop, we're going to find the files that you've downloaded, the exercise files. If you haven't, check out, there's a link somewhere in here. Okay, and in my exercise file, I've got an images folder. And in this images folder, I've got the Bring Your Own Laptop logo. Okay, click open. Cool. Let's hit save. And last thing we do when we add any sort of image is we need to add this alt text or alternative text. It's just the text that appears if the image doesn't load. It gets used for lots of things, screen readers, and also Google uses it to identify what's on the page. So it's really important to add alt text. This one is the Bring Your Own Laptop logo. Okay, where is it? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at our preview. There he is there. Nice, just sitting in the corner. Okay, so that's great. We've got our image in there. Let's now move on to styling this menu. Okay, first up, let's make it the 3 buttons. So I'm going to get rid of that guy. And my different things here are going to be portfolio. There's going to be about me and contact me. Contact me. Great. Switching out. Nice. Perfect. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is get it to float to the right, because at the moment it's sitting underneath here. We need to get it over this right-hand side. Okay, and that's pretty easy. We're going to go to our CSS, and we've done it before. Remember our menu? We see it down the bottom. Okay, remember this menu is those blue lines at the moment. So we're going to say up here, my desktop view, I'm going to put in lots of returns. I love my returns, just keep it all separate. Okay, and I'm going to say up here, I'm going to say menu, I would like you, curly braces, to float. And I'd like you to float to the right, please. Remember, semicolon, save. Let's have a look. Bingo. Okay, next of all, I want it to stack side by side. If you look at the kind of finished version, I want it to stack kind of next to each other rather than the default underneath. Okay, so let's go and do that. To do it, what we need to do is have a look at our source code here. We've got this one, we've got these list items. A UL is an unordered list, which is a bullet point list, and here's the LIs in that list. So this is the kind of overall list, and these are the different attributes in this list, so different bullet points. So this is the list items. So what I need to do in this case is I need to say, I'd like to say, we're going to do what's called a compound selector. So we're going to say, I want to find menu item, list items. Okay, so the allies that are inside menus. So I want these guys, if they're inside this menu here, I would like you to do this thing called display. And we've used block and none before. We're going to use this one called inline block. Okay, so remember block is a pair and inline just means they get into a nice little line there. Hey, awesome. Cool, so next thing I want to do is I'd like to style them because they're looking a little bit sad, okay, with the blue underlines and things like that. So let's go and do that. So to do this part, what we need to do is be a little bit more specific, okay? So what we need to do is style these A tags, okay, which is my hyperlinks, that are inside the lists, okay, which are inside my menu, okay? So let's go and do that. So another compound selector, okay, so menus, so here we go. So these hyperlinks, these A tags that are inside lists that happen to be inside this menu, okay, I would like you, curly braces, to do a few things. The first one is text decoration. Let's get rid of that. Text decoration is the underline. We're going to go to none. You can see you can add lines through and overline and underline. So we're going to go to none, semicolon, hit save, go check it. Hey, underlines are gone. Nice. Next thing is let's change the color. So let's go to you guys. And I would like to say you. And if you type color just by itself, it means the font color. Okay, you can use your color picker, but I'm going to type in 4E. Okay, just a dark gray. Remember at the end, make sure there's a semicolon, save, let's have a look. Great. What I might do just to make things a little easier while we're styling it. Yeah, just so you can see both of them. Great. And next thing I need to do is give them some padding. So I'm going to go padding, and if I go padding 8 pixels, okay, you see if you leave 8, you can see it's going to do the top, right, bottom, and left all the way around it, which is great for me. That's what I want. Okay, and what I want to do is go and change the font. Now, I could definitely go and change this font. Okay, I could type font family and go and do it here and pick one. You can see it changed in the background there. But I'm going to have to do this. Like, say I want to pick a font for my website. You know, and let's say it's Arial or Times New Roman or something, I'll have to reiterate this every time I put a bit of text. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something sneaky, okay, is we're going to say for global or for desktop, I put it at the top here because it's kind of like a big overall thing. We're going to use this thing called the body tag. Okay, now the body is, we look at our HTML, CSS, body is everything on the page. So what we're going to say is all, you know, the fonts that are on this body tag, inside this body tag, I want you to be this font. And it just means everything. This A tag, any headings we put in, it's all going to come along for the ride. Okay, we can override it later on, but I want to say body. I would like you to have a font family of, and I'm going to use, I'll use in the moment, Gotham, Helvetica, Arial, Sans Serif. We'll talk about fonts a little bit later because those basic ones aren't very cool. We want to use our own fonts, but we'll save that for the video after this one. Okay, so font family, we're going to use this, and there's my little fonts in the background. Great. So you can see here, it's just a little easier than trying to write it every single time we put any text in. We're just doing it for the overall global. What we might do here now as well is we'll do font size. So font size, we'll make it, and I'm pulling these sizes from Photoshop. Okay, so I've got my mock-up and I'm just going in and kind of checking. So I'm going to do 18 pixels. Great, just a little bit bigger. Lovely, does it save? Okay, let's have a look. So next thing I might do is there needs to be a bit of padding around this heading, okay, or this header tag. Okay, I could pad this out a bit more and the image out separately, but because they're all inside this, let's have a look. They're inside this thing called header. I can just add a bit of code, a bit of CSS to this header just to pad it out so everything inside of it gets some padding. So what I'll do here is, down the bottom here, I'm going to say header, okay, and curly braces, okay, and I'm going to say I'd like some padding, please. So we'll do padding top, okay, and maybe the top is 10 pixels. I say maybe, I've already picked this out, okay, I spent ages going over and deciding how big and that is. So you'll spend a little bit more time in here kind of going back to your Photoshop doc and deciding, you know, what looks good. So I've got padding top left, 20 pixels. Now I'm doing it the long way, I know. Okay, let's watch this. We're doing it this way, 20 pixels, great. What you'll find is a lot of people just do this. We've done top, bottom, left, and right, and it's great when you're learning because it's nice and easy, but watch this. Let's get cleverer. And if we do padding, and it assumes top first, so if I put in 10 pixels and put a space in, can you see the little hint there? Okay, so it goes around clockwise. So next is the right, and everything else is 20. So 20, 20, 20. So that's doing the exact same thing, semicolon at the end. So it just goes top, right, bottom, left. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's got a bit of padding around it now. Lovely. The next thing is we need to fix up our tablet view. So watch this. We get down to tablet and it kind of just gets all stuck in there. So what I've done in the mock-up, remember, is I've got it to do this and then it gets down to that lovely kind of stacked on top. So let's do that. So what I want to do is when you get to tablet, my friend, okay, I would like you to like the menu. Okay, we did it up here. We went inline block, which stacks them next to each other. So what we're doing is we're turning it back to what it was. I'm going to use you. Come here. And it's just the one that says block. Okay, save it. Let's check it in the browser. Okay, you, and boom. Great. We could add a bit of padding underneath to it, but because we haven't got our perfect font yet, we're not going to do that yet. We'll do it a little bit later. Ooh, one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted it to align right. So I'm going to go text, align, and I want it to be right. So when it gets down to tablet, let's check it out. It's aligning to that right-hand side. Okay. Now the big thing to change is our burger menu, because it gets down here and hey, I'm giant and grey and I've got this word menu, even though I feel like everyone knows that that's the word for menu. But I love that he's left this stuff in here, so if you do need it, okay, you can, it's easy to take out, it's harder to put in. So let's first of all get rid of the word menu. We're just going to use this just on 3 lines here, so it's going to do that. Okay, so where's that word menu? It took me a little while to find as well. So it's not in the HTML, it's not in the CSS, it's not in the SlickNav CSS, it's not in the jQuery, it's in this one here called jQuery.slicknav.js. Okay, and there's a few things in here. You're not going to change a whole lot of stuff in here. There's some values that you might play around with, but this is the label that I want. I'm just going to leave mine, but you can see I can adjust this one. If I put my name, you'll see that it's this guy here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this and leave all the rest. Okay, great. Let's jump back to source code. Let's check it out in here. Great, nothing in there. Okay, next up, we're going to get rid of this big, giant gray box. Okay, so what I'm also going to do is I'm going to stick this over here because I'm working on mobile here and I can fit it in. Okay, nice, so I can do some adjustments. Now, this big gray box here, how do you know what this big gray box is? Okay, so in our HTML, there's only a few things, in our styles, there's only a few things. There's this other CSS called SlickNav, and it's going to be in here. Okay, so this is the styles that Josh has made to style all these bits, so we need to change them. Okay, so they're all in here. Now, first of all, just because the way this was created, it's not really looking as good as I like it. Things aren't tabbed in and there's no space between them. So a nice little feature in Dreamweaver, if you do a select all the text, okay, and there's an option over here that says format source code. Click on it there and says apply source formatting. And it just tidies things up, can you see? Makes it a little bit easier for me to work out where I'm at. Okay, fine, you don't have to do that. So I've got this. Now I want to work out what this gray bar is. And what you'll do as a web designer is you'll go in, so we're using Chrome here to display it, right, in Preview and Browser. And what you do is in Chrome is you right click it. There are options for the same thing in Firefox and Safari and Internet Explorer, but use Chrome. And right click anything and go to inspect. And what it'll do is, can you see it's highlighted it? And it's told me it's this div called, I'll right click it again, so inspect. It's this div called SlickNav menu, great. And it's telling me a few things. And what I'm looking for is, it's a little hard because we're in this small size. It gets a bit bigger if you want to drag it out there. But you can see over here, you can see there's the background color. And if I turn that, I actually have to go down again. Yeah. Okay, so if, that's this guy here. Okay, he is that background color, and that there is slicknav.css. Okay, and it's telling me that it's a line on line 64 of the CSS is controlling it. So if I go into here, I go to SlickNav, and I go down to line, is it 64? I might be lying. Nope, 64. Sorry, 94. 94. And there's one in here, and it says 94, Slick Menu, and you can see there's the gray color. Okay, lovely. So you use inspect quite a bit. You're like, what the hell is that? What controls it? And you can look in here and it tells you what line in the CSS it does. So I'm going to grab this whole line and just bin it. Great. So it's working. Okay, the grey access bar. So the color's gone, but it's still kind of like pushing this logo down. I want you to slide up there. So what we can do is this menu here is we can say float to the right, please. Oh, spell it right. And you can see when he floats to the right, it kind of opens up a space for this guy to slide into. Great. Let's hit save. Getting there. Next, let's go and change this to the color. So over here, we've got this lovely, where is he? Red box, okay? And you'll notice that there's no rounded corners and there's no rounded corners on the lines. I know it's a really minute detail, but I'm not into the rounded stuff. Nobody is at the moment. It's all about square edges. Okay, so let's go and do that. I'm gonna close down inspect. And let's jump back into our CSS. Okay, so I'm not going to keep going off and trying to use inspect to figure out what classes are being used. Okay, I've done it already. You can fiddle around with it. I know that it is something around here. It is icon bar. Here it is, this thing here. This thing here called nav slick button. Okay, and it's got this thing called border radius. I don't need all the border radiuses. Goodbye. Okay, save it. You can see, hey, gone. There's text shadow. That was for, remember we had the word menu there. Doesn't need to be there. Text decoration is the underline. We don't need that either. This background color I want to change. Okay, the one from my Photoshop file. Now it's nice and red. So save. And the last thing I want to do is get rid of my, it's hard to see. These little white lines have rounded corners on the edge. Don't know why I don't like them so much. Okay, and it's this thing here. So all of you guys here, so it's slicknav dot slicknav underscore icon bar. If you've done, it's on line 43. Could have been all that. Don't need any of you guys. Lovely. Hit save, and look, nice square buttons. Great. So last thing I need to do is, it's working, but my little menu here, whoop, my little menu here is, I've got rid of the background color, but you can see these guys can't be seen when they're dropping down. Okay, because I removed that background color. So what we need to do is we need to style these buttons a bit better. So let's go and do that. And I found our little friend. It's line 134, slicknav underscore nav a. Okay, and in this one here, there's no background color. So color, remember, will style the font. Okay, and it's a white font on a white background with no background color. So we need to add a background color. So background, background color. There you go. And I've got a color I want to use. Okay, it's F147 4C. Lovely, semicolon, hit save, and now go in here, click it, hey, you've got a background color. Now, what I really want to do is play with the padding and the font and the hover, okay, but we're not going to worry about that. That you can spend some time, okay, so you just go into this exact same class, play around. Can you see the padding here? I'd increase it. I really want to do it, but I got to save some time somewhere. Okay, the one thing you won't do is you could spend ages playing with the hover, but don't sweat it, because imagine you're on a phone, there is no way to hover. Okay, so nobody ever sees these hover ones. Okay, so yeah, don't bother doing the hovers. You can if you like. Let's close that back up. Lovely, hit save. And that, my friends, is how we make a responsive menu. So ta-da, big version, okay, on our desktop. But when it gets smaller to tablet, okay, it curls down and bright lines and stacks on top of each other. I know the font's not the correct one yet. And then it gets down to desktop, mobile, and it switches to the bigger menu. Okay, now these are probably too small, they need padding. Okay, you've got to make sure, one of the things to do just when you are making mobile stuff is that, especially Google will check your site to see whether these buttons are clickable. Okay, they've got methods of seeing if these touch points can actually be touched. So if they're too small, you have like my dad with giant fingers, okay, and you hit like 4 of them at one time, you got to make sure there's enough padding or the buttons are big enough that people can clearly hit them. Okay, it's part of some of the ranking stuff that Google do. But good work, we've styled it. You can style it as you want. You can add and remove colors and fonts and styling things. But good work, man. We've used somebody else's, lovely Josh's slicknav, to do a lot of the hard work. It's mainly just the JavaScript. Okay, and yeah, we've gone through and made it our own. High five, team. Next, what we'll do is we'll look at getting serious about our real-time preview and previewing on our mobile phone, because it is a bit tough doing this kind of slide thing here. So let's go do that in the next video.